Well, howdy everybody! Before we actually get started, I have to say something. So remember Timu Baby, aka the fake Vapor Baby that was going around scamming people? Yeah, we caught him! Now, going forward for every single person, and I'm going to start doing this for every single video that I upload at the very beginning, is to remember I will never, ever, for never ever ask anyone on planet Earth for anything in the game for a video. And I do not care what this person says. It's for a video, it's for a stream, it is for this, it is for my mommy, it is for my daddy, it's for my doggy, it's for my kitten, it's for my fish. I will never ask anyone for any type of items in the game. If I usually ask for stuff, it will be on my Discord and I will be willing to buy it 100%. Or, better yet, I will actually trade off my own huges for said items if I do not have the gems. So with that being said, at the end of the day, I hate hearing that somebody out there is probably using somebody else's name in order to scam players that are just unaware. So if you see somebody out there who's actually pretending to be a YouTuber, make sure you just let them know that that person is fake so the fellow players in Pet Simulator 99 do not get scammed, because it stinks. But the good news is we do have a winner for my previous video's giveaway. Now I actually forgot what the question was for that video was because I don't know what I asked. But I did pick somebody for this. Now, I want to go ahead and give advice to everybody here because usually when we get a new update and new items are given out, usually there's a time frame for a lot of things before they actually do go down in price. This includes brand new stat pets, anything that is brand new in the game. Now, JT Webman, I actually chose them because I found their comment to be really interesting. He said, no, not a video. Now, I was selling them as well, but I did not know when the price would stop dropping, essentially. Thanks for the estimate and great videos. Now, I want to say, when brand new things come out into the game, you guys literally have a good time frame for price drops. Usually when you have things such as, like, for example, these brand new dollar things, this was at the peak of at least 20,000, I think, at some point, and I don't know what the highest was, but I do know not everybody was buying it for 20,000 a piece, but you were able to get away with like maybe a few thousand. I know obviously there is people out there probably buying it for the 20,000, but that is really expensive. The way that I like to look at it is you have 3 hours to sell it before people start to notice that it will go down in value. Now, because the game obviously changed wrap, it used to be every 3 to 4 hours. Now we're looking at every hour. So those hours that actually drop are so detrimental for everybody to go out into the trade hub and actually sell things right away. And that's something that I used to focus on at the beginning of this game when it first came out. This was before wrap was even a thing in the game, so you can obviously imagine when it came to actually selling things, it was very chaotic. But since we have the new wrap system inside of Pet Simulator 99, it is so easy to tell how much to sell things for and to make sure that you sell as much as you can before that hour is up, and you are going to lose value with that item. Advice I could give to anybody when it comes to items that you get a huge amount so quickly is to sell it under wrap, buy a lot, and sell a lot of it before the next hour hits, before it loses valuation. You will make millions, hundreds of millions, if that, when you're doing this. But today's video is going to be relatively interesting because I heard and I read on the Big Games blog the changes that they recently did. And it says, changes, buffed Void World specific drops, prison keys, seashells, hacker keys, etc. to drop in those worlds more. So we're going to go ahead and do a test for every section that we have for keys and see what happens. This also includes the seashells itself, so we're going to go ahead and test every single area and see at the end of the day what is the best area to go ahead and grind for keys in general. So let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty, so for this test, we are actually going to go ahead and start putting every single little key that I had before this inside of a box. This means hundreds of keys are gonna go inside and it's going to be named. Now, again, this is a buff that they recently increased for zone dedicated areas. So if you're trying to get hacker keys, guess where you have to go? Hacker World. If you want seashells, guess where you have to go? You have to go to Pineapple Land because I forgot the name of the location. So I tested out all of these dedicated areas. Now, the first clip that we're going to go ahead and show is the very last section of the newest update, the Rich World. So we're going to go ahead and actually put on some boosts. Yes, it's totally optional to use all of these boosts that I'm using right now, though I wouldn't really recommend this. I'm only doing this for the video itself. I usually like to really hold on to my Christmas boosts. Try not to use them because it's definitely not worth actually just going out into the trade hub to dedicate for this test specifically. I should have just kept them for a rainy day. But what I will be using is all of the natural stuff that I always use all the time. My cocktails, my speed potions, my damage boost potions, my diamond potions, and definitely treasure hunter flags. Now, I know there's a discussion for this that it's unnecessary for me to use treasure hunter flags because of super drops. I still like to use them regardless of this popular belief on them. Now, this is definitely recommended if you're trying to get drops in general if you do not have super drops. So let's go ahead and get started and see what happens with the results of this. This is sped up 100 times in speed, so I was here for a while now. Okay, so after actually finishing within that hour time frame or so, I am in Hacker World. So these are the keys that I'm going to be putting inside of the box that were from the most recent update in Rich World. So that's a good amount of keys. Now, we're going to go ahead and name that box Rich World at some point, and we're going to go ahead and start doing the same test here. Now, I'm going to be giving every section at least a little bit time compared to the other. So I'm going to be completely honest, when I actually went to Hacker World, I started to notice immediately I wasn't getting any drops and I was a little confused. So I had to check my items notification to see what was happening. And okay, I had to put down maybe a sprinkler and a treasure hunter flag. And that's when I started to notice drops were officially dropping. So I don't know if it's just a nerf based on like my rank. So I'm wondering if drops based off of ranks is what is happening here, but I started to notice I wasn't really getting anything compared to like other sections in the game. So I didn't give this area as much time as I really wanted to do because I was just like, okay, it's not worth sitting here for an hour. So eventually I just left. Okay, so after maybe sitting here for not even 5 minutes, I decided to check what I had gotten, and it was literally a top of a crystal key, and that was it. So this is real time right now, so you guys can see what is dropping currently. The previous video that you just saw was sped up 2 times, so there's really not that much of a difference, but you are seeing that there's enchants and some random little boost things popping up here and there, and potions. And clearly you're able to see a crystal key was dropped at the very end of this, and eventually I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead into the next section to see what's going on, and we're gonna go ahead and go to Prison World. Now, they also increase the chances for the prison keys, so we're gonna go ahead and see how long it takes for it to actually drop. And as always, we are going to place a treasure hunter flag and a sprinkler. So as you can tell, everything is breaking relatively quickly, and I noticed that the drops were a little bit more active on this one just because of the fact that I have no idea. Now, again, I don't know if this is just kind of restricted based off of ranks and stuff, but you know, the only way that we're really able to tell is if somebody has a new account that isn't ranked up to go ahead and test this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put the singular key top inside of a box, and we're going to conduct the new test for Prison World and see what we get out of this one specifically. Alrighty, so after a while, I kind of started to notice that the drops were semi-similar to Hacker World, except for the prison chest itself. Now, my theory is perhaps maybe the keys drop from the chest if you're really lucky, because holy moly, I don't see anything yet. Alright, so after being in the prison section for about 7 minutes or so, I ended up getting 2 crystal key things. I got a key top and a key bottom, so I'm able to make 1 crystal key out of this. Now, what we are going to be doing is conducting if this area drops a little bit more compared to the other stuff, and we're going to see how many seashells end up dropping. Because of the fact that they upgraded the buff on seashells, I want to see if it's possible to get more. So we're going to put the rest that I ended up grinding from the previous update inside of a box so we can compare and contrast between the two. Alrighty, so now that this area is officially over, I was able to get that many seashells within that time frame, and I noticed that a little bit more items ended up dropping. Now, there is a secret key top in here too, which is pretty cool, and I ended up getting 1, and I think that's either 2 or 3 crystal key bottoms. I can't tell because I can't see, I need glasses, so hopefully you guys can tell me how many that is. I think that's 3. So I felt like I ended up getting more drops in general from this area. I don't know if it's just me or if I'm just seeing things at this point, but I felt like I got just a little bit more from here. So we're gonna go ahead and conduct other tests and see what happens. So finally, I am in the very last area again, just to do a compare and contrast to see what is dropping, what is better for everyone to just basically go and grind. And this is sped up by 8 times, which is this frame here, and the next part that you're going to see is sped up by 4 times. So as you can already tell, I'm able to get key drops relatively quickly by just going over here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this run overnight, and then in the morning, I'm going to go ahead and see what I ended up getting overall as a whole. Okie dokie. So this is what I ended up getting around 5 in the morning. I officially checked my inventory to see what I end up getting in general as a whole. So I'm going to end up putting this inside of my rich box, and we're going to see everything as a total because it is 7 in the morning officially right now for me. So that's an additional few hours of extra time that we're going to go ahead and add to this box, and we're going to view everything. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and check to see what we ended up getting as a whole with all of our boxes. boxes. So the first time that we're going to start off is with Void Rich World. So this is what I ended up getting just as, I guess as a general whole. This can be within a time frame of maybe 6 to 8 hours or so, and this is what I ended up getting. Now, I know I did not give justice all that much to other worlds such as Jail World. Jail World ended up giving me 2 key tops and a key bottom. And Hacker World gave me 1 key top and nothing else. Then we have Pineapple Land, which ended up giving me whichever amount the shells gave me. I think it was like really under 40 shells within that 7 minutes time frame, but it ended up giving me a secret key bottom, 3 crystal key bottoms, and 1 singular key top. Okay, so this is my collection of keys that I have been saving up ever since I did my conducting for testing and everything. Now, the void keys is probably the most important one for everyone, and this probably took at least 4 to 5 days, I want to say, to actually get to the amount that I am at now. So hopefully this helps you out in understanding what this key buff is, and this also includes the seashells as well, which I don't think people really care too much about unless you are that type of person that wants to go ahead and grind in that dedicated zone and get seashells to make presents with. I feel like the amount of time that you have to dedicate to this though is not worth it, and you're probably better off going into the last section here and grinding out the amount of keys. So I feel like if you just really want to dedicate grinding and hoarding keys in general, your best bet is to just stay in the last zone of Rich World. And yes, this means you have to say goodbye to prison keys, including the normal, the golden, and quite possibly Hacker World for hacker keys. Because at the end of the day, you guys want to dedicate time to something that gives you a higher reward, aka your void keys. So for those that are probably wondering, where should I grind for void keys? Stay in the last zone of the rich section. Yes, I know this is going to be the biggest one for everyone here because not everybody is going to have that vanity of being able to afford it, but Super Drops does help out with the amount of things that I end up getting. Now, if you do not have Super Drops and if you do not have that capability of actually getting the Robux to get it, there are free methods in the game right now that you can use and take advantage of to hopefully better increase your loot chances. Now, like I said previously, if you have enchants that will help you with your breakables and your drops, that's even better. So the best way that I could describe this, the faster you can break things, the better. But you also want to equip things that will help you with your loot. So aka, if you have a setup like this, we'll take out the treasure or the hacker key one because we are not in Hacker World and I feel like this book did not help me out too much. But then again, like I said previously, I did not dedicate too much time to this section because of the fact that I wasn't getting drops in general. So if you have a fruity book, you have speed, you have explosive, you have treasure hunters, and super magnet because you could be doing something else on top of it out of the zone section. So this is what I would use if I were to not be a pay to win player. So this is what I would end up using. Now again, you would have to like figure out what 2 spaces would be because this would be like, oh well, Vapor, you're not actually free to play, so you're gonna have to replace that book with probably just fruity in general. So the faster you can break things, the better. Now again, we are going to go through everything. So Cocktail is going to help you out with just in general a bunch of things. I would recommend using that. Obviously your treasure hunter potions, obviously I don't have the biggest one here, the top ones. So the only thing I can show is the kitten one and the angel one. So make sure you guys upgrade your potions when you're doing this. Obviously treasure hunter flags are your best friend with this as well. And if you're able to, get sprinklers. Now, sprinklers are relatively really cheap in the trade hub right now, and same thing goes with the treasure hunter flags. So hopefully you guys are able to pick these up when you are trying to grind out for keys in general. So another thing that you guys can do and focus on are using fruits. Now they recently upgraded the fruits as a whole, so you guys can convert fruits into shiny, which does actually replace the usage of candy canes. So if you're not able to go out and buy candy canes and you're not wanting to use them, guess what? You can upgrade pineapples and you can get the same thing. Now, the only downside of this is they are very expensive when it comes to upgrading them, but honestly, I feel like it's worth it at the end of the day if you're trying to get a bunch of things. Now, for a lot of people, that's probably not going to be worth it because obviously it goes from a 1% chance to a 1.5% chance. For a lot of people, that might not be that big of a difference, but when you're grinding here for like an entire day nonstop, all of this really does help at the end of the day. So another thing that you guys can do is go to the Boost Exchange now. Now, whether or not you buy this out in the trade hub or not, all you have to do is just use a few of them and you just get 15% extra drop chance, which is amazing. Now, I know I said to sell these in my previous video for a lower wrap to go ahead and sell in the trade hub, and people do buy it when they are extremely low enough. I think I sold like at least 30 million worth yesterday at 400 to 500 per stack of 5,000. Now, I'm able to get this relatively quickly and I'm able to afford to just go ahead and take that loss on the wrap's end. So all I need is just maybe 1,000 or 2,000 per day to just dedicate to the boost machine. And the rest I'll go ahead and sell. And I'll rinse and repeat that process so I can go ahead and get gems and I can go ahead and use that into convert to boost exchange section and get more of a chance of higher drops. With all of that being said, I want to know your guys' opinion. Now, obviously, we're able to get key drops, but where are your guys' thoughts on where to grind for what? Do you want to grind in the pineapple section for seashells, or do you want to grind in the very last section of this recent update to get key drops? Let me know down in the comments down below, and the next person that I choose will get a huge pet during the next video. Until then, I think this test was really necessary to see what is going on, what is brand new, and until then, I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye everyone!